Welcome to Warn. Today international headlines are: Malaysia adapts Russian-built jets to drop US-made bombs. Malaysia has adapted its Russian-built Sukhoi Su-30 multi-role combat aircraft to drop US laser-guided bombs, with a successful release of a live weapon at the end of last year. A video by the Tentara Udara Diraja Malaysia, or Royal Malaysian Air Force, to celebrate its 59th anniversary showed a brief clip of a Su-30 MKM dropping a 500-pound GBU-12 laser-guided bomb, with the accompanying caption stating that the event happened in November 2016 at the service's weapons range at Kota Balut in the state of Sabah, Malaysia. Details for the Army's Light Reconnaissance Vehicle. Requirements for the U.S. Army's Light Reconnaissance Vehicle are expected soon, according to Colonel Shane Fulmer, the program manager for the Joint Light Tactical Vehicle Joint Program Office. Once requirements are ironed out, then an acquisition strategy can be put in place, Fulmer said at Quantico during a media briefing on the Army and Marine Corps' Humvee replacement, the JLTV, Wednesday. The Army announced last year that it would use JLTV as an interim LRV solution. UNGA approves new counter-terror office, India calls it much-awaited first step. The UN General Assembly has approved the establishment of a new office to coordinate counter-terrorism efforts, a move welcomed by India as a much-awaited first step that will align the world body with needs of the global community in the fight against the menace. The 193-member General Assembly adopted a consensus resolution on Thursday creating the United Nations Office of Counter-Terrorism that will be headed by an Under-Secretary General. India welcomed the creation of the new UN Counter-Terrorism Office, saying it demonstrates the importance member states place on collective and coordinated action on terrorism, which remains the most complex threat faced by the international community. Pentagon report highlights Chinese submarine buildup. The large-scale buildup of China's naval forces is the most visible part of a major rearmament campaign that has been underway for more than a decade. But Chinese development of modern and increasingly quiet submarines poses one of the more serious strategic challenges for the United States and other nations concerned about Beijing's growing hegemony in Asia. The increasing size of the People's Liberation Army Navy fleet of surface vessels captures most international attention, based on the sheer numbers and advanced weapons on an array of new warships. Most notable among them is a refurbished Soviet-era aircraft carrier, the Liaoning, which was the first of its kind commissioned into the PLA Navy in 2012, and development of its first indigenous ski-jump carrier, a vessel with a sloped flight deck. China's first domestically constructed carrier will be commissioned in 2020. Coincidentally, the Liaoning was a refurbishment of the Varyag, a Kuznetsov aircraft carrier, which has a sloped flight deck. The difference between the two is size, with the China-made one smaller. Since 2004, 6 new PLA Navy classes of indigenous warships, destroyers, frigates, and corvettes were deployed. The ships include some that appear similar in design to the U.S. Navy's Aegis destroyers. Less noticed but perhaps more strategically significant is China's growing force of submarines, including both conventional and nuclear-armed vessels. As with other Chinese strategic and conventional military forces, submarines are a growing threat for one key characteristic: their missiles. Lockheed grows closer to F-35 block buy deal with U.S. international customers. Lockheed Martin is hammering out the details on a F-35 block buy proposal that could shave $2 billion off the total cost of the purchase, the company's F-35 program manager said. The deal, which could be worth anywhere from $35 billion to $40 billion, would include about 440 aircraft in low-rate production lots 12, 13, and 14, Jeff Babione, Executive Vice President and General Manager, said Monday at the Paris Air Show. The F-35 Joint Program Office has said the United States would pursue an Economic Order Quantity, or EOQ, agreement which would allow the U.S. military to buy spare parts over multiple years, but not entire aircraft instead of a block buy. 11 countries, including the United States, are interested in participating and are nearing a decision, Reuters reported Monday morning. The average price of an A model would drop to an estimated $85 million as a result. Russian missile defense to track US-led coalition aircraft in Syria, Ministry of Defense. From June 19, Russia is halting all interactions with the U.S. within the framework on the Memorandum of Incident Prevention in Syrian skies, the Russian Defense Ministry said on Monday following the US-led coalition's downing of a Syrian army's jet near Raqqa. In areas where Russian aviation is conducting combat missions in the Syrian skies, any flying objects, including jets and unmanned aerial vehicles of the international coalition discovered west of the Euphrates River, will be followed by Russian air and ground defenses as air targets, the Russian Defense Ministry announced.